Things will someday be back to normal for those affected by this epic fall flood, but everybody who's been affected knows that's going to take a while. In Charles City today, one bit of normalcy returned. Those in charge of the flood fight held an update this afternoon to let people know that the wastewater treatment system's back online so people can finally take a shower, do dishes, even flush the toilet. Also, school will resume tomorrow at the normal time. As much as things are getting back to normal, though, flood fighters still have some things to keep in mind. Well, the first presidential debate is in the books. Record viewership is predicted for this debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. It just wrapped up at Hofstra University. Normally, you catch Dr. Eric Shores and me discussing the presidential race during Eye on Politics Sunday nights after our newscast. But with this closely watched debate tonight, we felt a special edition was in order. So first, Dr. Shores, first impressions after watching this 90-minute spectacle. Yeah, you could definitely see that both performed better at different points in the debate, definitely. One thing people are tuning into tonight, one reason this was such a closely watched debate was because we knew there would be some fireworks, and we got to see that probably after about 15 minutes or so, after they felt out the room a bit. Who benefited most from the give and the take and a bit of the shouting match tonight? And almost it seemed like she was maybe over-prepared. Some of the lines you could tell were fairly rehearsed there. And how do you think viewers at home took that? And the big question everybody wants to know quickly, did anyone change their minds tonight, come over to either side? Remember, you can catch us with our political analysis every Sunday night on Eye on Politics at 10:35. When you've dealt with a disaster for several days, you tend to crave a bit of normalcy. One way to get that, however briefly, is a hot meal. KIMT News 3's Stefante Randall has that story. You don't want to go early voting in weather like this.
No, exactly.
No, wait until it warms up in just a few hours. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Tyler Roney in the Storm Team 3 Forecast Center. Would tomorrow be a better day to do that? Assessing the damage may be next on your list. You may be recovering from water in your basement or even on higher levels of your home. But do you know where to turn for help? Shoddy contractors sometimes follow severe weather events, and to make sure you hire a reputable one, you are told never pay a large amount in advance. Seek several written estimates from contractors that you know, and start taking pictures of the damage for insurance purposes. Another suggestion, review policies that could help in a situation like this in the future. Thanks, Tyler. AJ, it's being talked about as one of the most impressive performances of Week 3, and I'm not talking about the Cowboys dismantling the Bears. No, I think a lot of people thought that he was the leader of the conservative resistance, if you will. So obviously that helps Donald Trump. But what does that do, and what does that mean for Ted Cruz? Now, you and I could probably watch this race go on forever. It's just what we do, but I think a lot of people are ready for it to get over with. Even those I talk to who say they're tired of this are looking forward to this first debate. Is this going to live up to the hype? So let's start with Donald Trump, then. What does he need to do? And does he need to be like he was in the primaries and those debates against Republicans, or does he need to change? Thanks, Katie. Now it's time to take another look at the top stories of the day in the top 5 at 5. First up, now that much of the flood water has receded, homeowners are tasked with cleanup. In Freeborn County, assessors will be traveling around this week surveying the storm damage. After a property has been assessed, the owners will then be able to remove any debris and start making those needed repairs. Iowa Governor Terry Branstad and Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds, along with the National Guard, made a visit to Charles City today. They were there as the state officials assess damage and learn more about what aid the community will need as it recovers. Branstad says he's also working to determine if North Iowa will qualify for a presidential disaster declaration. Iowa's second largest city is preparing now for flooding. The Cedar River in Cedar Rapids is expected to crest at 23 feet early Tuesday morning. It will remain above flood stage until Saturday. The Cedar Rapids Animal Care and Control Shelter is providing free temporary housing for pets. They're hoping that homeowners will then be more likely to evacuate if they know their animals have a safe place to stay. Some North Iowa high school football teams are putting aside their rivalry to help the towns hit hardest by last week's flooding. Today, students from West Fork, Osage, and Riceville traveled to Greene to help with cleanup efforts. Clear Lake football players headed to Clarksville to help pick up debris in that area. And absentee voting began Friday in Minnesota. So far, Olmsted County leaders say they've received nearly 2,000 requests for absentee ballots. That's the most they've ever seen. Voters in Iowa can request absentee ballots as well, and early voting begins this coming Thursday in Iowa.